and welcome to TV360 News Now. I am DG Badimasi. Now, there seems to be no end to the political drama in Rivers State. The latest is that 25 lawmakers in the State House of Assembly loyal to Governor Rotimi Amechi have defected to the All Progressives Congress APC. Before the defections, there were members of the People's Democratic Party and were actually elected on the platform of that party. The lawmakers now joined Governor Rotimi Amechi, who also defected from the PDP to the APC some time ago. They announced their defection during a sitting of the State House of Assembly at the old auditorium of Government House, Port Harcourt. Leader of the House, Mr. Chidi Lloyd, announced their decision to decamp, saying they had all ceased to be members of PDP. Reacting to the news of the defection, the Rivers State chapter of the People's Democratic Party says in its words, those defections are inconsequential and uneventful. In a statement signed by Jerry Needham, the special advisor on media to the state chairman Felix Obua, the party berated the lawmakers for their actions, stressing that their membership of the APC was not a new development. Now, following accusations from the APC, that's opposition APC, accusing the federal government of masterminding the impeachment of former Adamawa State Governor Murtala Nyako, the PDP has hit back, accusing the APC of a plot to discredit and blackmail institutions of government, particularly the legislature, and destabilize the polity. The APC had alleged that the president, in his bid for re-election in 2015, had resorted to clamping down on governors of opposition states through impeachment by the legislature. A spokesperson of the PDP, Olisa Metu, in a statement said the allegations of the APC were intended to cause confusion and incite the people against the president, the PDP, and institutions of government. He warned the APC against resorting to blackmail and unfounded allegations. And now to another issue that is sure to elicit a reaction sometime later. The All Progressives Congress has described as an embarrassment the fact that it took 17-year-old girl child education campaigner Pakistani Malala Yousafzai to visit and convince President Goodluck Jonathan for him to meet with representatives of the parents of the over 200 abducted schoolgirls from Chibok. The party, in a statement by a spokesperson, Lai Mohammed, took a swipe at the presidency for turning around to blame the leadership of the Bring Back Girls activists, for the failed meeting when the parents of the girls were not properly informed and invited. APC said, contrary to the view of the president, parents of the Chibok girls have said that the decision not to meet with the president in Abuja was theirs and theirs alone, and that they took that decision because their sole reason for coming to Abuja was to meet with Malala and not the president, who did not invite them anyway. The party reiterated its earlier call on the president to shake off his lethargy and bring the abducted schoolgirls home safely instead of playing politics with the lives of over 200 beings. Now, that's according to the spokesperson of the APC, Lai Mohammed. To education matters now, the Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, COASU, has suspended its 7-month strike for 3 months to allow the federal government look at their grievances. COASU President Dr. Emmanuel Sage told newsmen at the end of a meeting with the Minister of Education, Ibrahim Shekaru, in Abuja, that the union decided to suspend the strike in order to give the new minister a chance to work on their demands. The lecturers who embarked on an industrial action in December 2013 are protesting non-implementation of their demands, which border on proper funding of the colleges and adequate welfare for lecturers. NNPC, to business matters now. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has said that it has retooled the nation's refineries and raised their capacity utilization to 60% ahead of a planned turnaround maintenance. Now, Nigeria's refineries are notorious for operating far below installed capacity, leading to the importation of petroleum products to meet local consumption. But in a statement by the NNPC, which quotes the Group Managing Director, Andrew Yakubu, quotes him now as saying that the refineries have now been raised to 60% utilization capacity. Yakubu said there was a setback in the plan to get the original builders of the refineries to undertake their planned or scheduled turnaround maintenance because of their refusal to come to Nigeria for fear of the security challenges facing the country. He, however, said that the corporation had to deploy in-house expertise to fix critical units of the refineries, which had increased their capacity utilization to 60%. Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, has cautioned the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, against a hasty launch of the proposed monetary union. Addressing a meeting of West African Monetary Zone Ministers of Finance and Central Bank Governors in Abuja, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala argued that the sub-region must be fully ready through sustained macroeconomic stability among member states before launching the monetary union. Now, under the monetary union, all member states will use a single currency, identical to what obtains among members of the European Union, where the euro is now in use. The minister, however, warned member states to consider recent happenings in the Eurozone and ensure that the lessons learned are fully integrated into the recommendations being made so as to avoid the pitfalls that plagued the European monetary zone after the policy was introduced. She also added that Nigeria, being the largest economy in the sub-region, would be the worst hit should the union go awry. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has disclosed that over 200 Bureau de Change companies have met the new guidelines introduced by the bank recently. The Apex Bank had recently increased the capital base of the BDC companies from 10 million naira to 35 million naira, among other guidelines. He gave the BDC companies until July 31st, 2014 to comply. Addressing members of the House of Representatives Committee on Banking and Currency, the CBN governor argued that the time frame given to the BDC operators to comply was adequate. He also appealed to the legislators to support the bank in its resolve to strengthen the economy for the benefit of all Nigerians. In a sad development now, a Malaysian airline flight from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur has crashed in eastern Ukraine, killing all 295 people on board. Malaysia Airlines said it had lost contact with flight MH17 from Amsterdam and that the flight's last known position was over Ukrainian airspace. The plane reportedly went down near the border between Russia and Ukraine, where a Ukraine transport plane was shot down on Monday. There are now speculations that the plane may have been shot down by Russia, but there's no official confirmation on this. Separatist rebels have been fighting government forces in that region. Microsoft has announced plans to cut up to 18,000 jobs following ongoing reforms in the company. According to the firm, which employs 127,000 people globally, the bulk of the cuts will be in its Nokia phone unit, which it bought in April of 2014. Microsoft pledged to cut $600 million per year in cost within 18 months of closing the acquisition. Chief Executive Officer Satya Nadella, who took charge in February, wants the firm to shift its focus away from software to online services, apps, and devices. This latest development marks the deepest job cuts in the technology firm's 39-year history. The last significant job cuts at the firm were in early 2009, when previous Chief Executive Steel Ballmer axed 5,800 staff. Now, there seems to be no end to the cases of rape in India. A 6-year-old schoolgirl has been reportedly raped by 2 staff members at a prominent school in the southern Indian state of Bangalore. Police say the alleged incident happened on July 2nd, but the parents of the child discovered only a few days ago after she complained of stomach ache and was taken to hospital. A security guard and the gym teacher in the school have been named as prime suspects of the alleged crime, as police have registered the case, but they are yet to make any arrests. Scrutiny of sexual violence in India has grown since the 2012 gang rape and murder of a student on a Delhi bus. The brutal crime led to massive outrage in the country and forced the government to introduce tougher anti-rape laws, including the death penalty in rare cases. Now to sports. Nigeria may soon have the FIFA suspension slammed on it lifted very soon. This is because the Plateau State High Court, has now vacated its orders sacking the board of the Nigeria Football Federation. FIFA has suspended Nigeria from international football following the sacking of the board, saying only a vacation of the court order and a reinstatement of the sacked board will see to the lifting of the suspension. Nigeria now appears to be complying with the conditions of FIFA, as Okonjo-Iweala, a veteran journalist, sports journalist, tells us.
The major step has been the withdrawal of the case from the Plateau High Court, restraining Aminu Megeri-led board and the Congress from doing and operating. That has been withdrawn. Mrs. Baribote has withdrawn the case from the Plateau High Court, and so the major step has been taken towards lifting that ban. The second condition, however, is for the Aminu Megeri-led board to now get back to office and operate freely without interference, without disturbance from any third party. That, I'm sure, will happen in the next couple of hours. What they are waiting for from my sources is that they are waiting for an official confirmation from the courts by way of a paper being served them that that case has been withdrawn. Once they have custody of that paper from the courts, they will now communicate FIFA that the court case has been withdrawn and we are back in our office working without interference from a third party. And once that is done and sent to FIFA in a couple of hours, since we have met the conditions set by the FIFA Emergency Committee, those are the two conditions. Since we've met them now, we expect that the FIFA Emergency Committee will write back and say, you have met the conditions, now that suspension can be lifted. Our under-20 girls can now travel and get ready for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. Our Golden Eagles that have a game on Sunday against Congo DR can now go for that game. Preparations for the African Women's Championship, the Super Eagles, Nations Cup title defense, and all of that can now begin in earnest.
Well, but Okonjo-Iweala also warned that even when the suspension is lifted, Nigeria would still have some house cleaning jobs to do. Take a listen to what he says.
Today, the Nigerian government will tell you that they do not recognize the NFF, that it is strange to the Nigerian environment. It is strange to the Nigerian government that what they recognize is the Nigerian Football Association. So we have the Nigeria Football Association Act still in place, which allows a Minister of Sports to take decisions and give commands and give orders to the NFF. And that is not exactly the truth and what FIFA expects. FIFA expects that we will be compliant to their laws in Nigeria. So on the short term, we've solved the problem, but on the long term, there is still another problem in the future if somebody wants to dig it up. What we need to do is to domesticate FIFA law, get it to the National Assembly, make it a Nigerian law, recognizing the NFF, and then we operate the NFF Act, which will allow the Executive Committee to be in place to run football in line with FIFA statutes.
Well, let's just hope that problem is resolved and that nobody digs up anything. Now, despite our football troubles, there's still something to actually cheer about. Nigeria now ranks 34th in the latest FIFA ranking. Following the Super Eagles' performance and eventual qualification for the second round of the just concluded World Cup in Brazil, the football governing body placed the country in 34th position in its July ranking released Thursday. Nigeria rose 10 places to the 34th position just last month. Just last month, I should say, it had occupied the 44th position. So this is some good news. World champions Germany was ranked number 1 on the list, while Argentina was placed 2nd and Netherlands 3rd. Colombia came 4th, Belgium 5th, Uruguay 6th, and 2014 World Cup host Brazil came 7th. Of course, no thanks to that devastating loss to Germany in the semi-final. Meanwhile, in Africa, Nigeria ranks 3rd behind Algeria and Cote d'Ivoire, who came 24th and 25th respectively on the world lists. To club football matters now, Spanish football club Real Madrid has topped an annual Forbes list of the world's most valuable sports teams. The club, who won the Champions League in May, is worth an estimated $3.44 billion, and that is according to Forbes. The top 3 slots are occupied by football clubs, with Barcelona in 2nd place at $3.2 billion and Manchester United 3rd with a value of $2.81 billion. Forbes calculated the value of the teams based on equity, debt, and stadium deals. Meanwhile, Bayern Munich midfielder Toni Kroos has joined Real Madrid for an undisclosed fee on a 6-year deal. Kroos, 24, was a key player for Germany, who beat Argentina 1-0 to win the World Cup and scored 2 goals during the competition in Brazil. Well, that's it for now on News Now. We thank you very much for watching. We're back again tomorrow. I am Deji Badimasi. See you then.